Crawling in my cadaverous crowd of Second Life. I'm Felix Lubezki, your Crypt-Keeper from the grave. I got a collector's item for you fiends. Got a real great chiller diller. Give the man your grimy little dime if you haven't done so already and come into the Crypt of Terror. This is the Crypt-Keeper, ready with another of my tales of horror. So sit down on the tan bark floor and I'll begin the blood-curdling yarn I call Lower Berth. Long before the advent of radio, movies, television, and comic books, the only entertainment folks throughout the country enjoyed were the traveling carnivals, which set up their gaily colored tents on vacant tracts of land at the outskirts of their towns. At about 80 years ago, one of these carnivals came to a small town in the Ozark Mountains. Right this way, folks. See the sideshow. See the greatest collection of oddities ever to be assembled under one tent. Right this way, folks. The sideshow of this particular carnival was owned by a man named Ernest Feely. Patiently over the years, he had assembled a fabulous collection of oddities and freaks. He had the usual attractions. See Fanny the Fat Lady, folks, 450 pounds of female polka tube. See Hen Dot and R, the Sword Swallower, Skullface, the Living Skeleton, Figo, the Fire Eater. But Ernest Feely had one attraction, a headline attraction that never failed to draw the crowds, to separate the curious from their quarters. And last but not least, folks, the star attraction of Feely's sideshow, the most unusual oddity ever to be put on display anywhere, anytime, inside in its original sarcophagus, is Myrna, the only female Egyptian mummy in existence. 25 cents, folks, right this way. Myrna the Egyptian mummy was owned by Zachary Kling, a retired archaeologist. Ernest Feely paid Zachary Kling a very large salary for the privilege of exhibiting Myrna. And now, folks, if you'll step this way, Dr. Kling, who found Myrna the Egyptian mummy, will tell you all about her and show her to you. 5 times a day, Zachary Kling would narrate how he discovered Myrna, then show her to the gaping customers. He would even undo part of her wrappings. Myrna, the only female Egyptian mummy in America, was found in the Valley of the Kings by my expedition. Her tomb is deep in the cliffs that tower over the Nile River. On the tomb walls we found the inscriptions describing her incarceration. It seems that Myrna, or Myrnanen, as the Egyptians called her, was a lady-in-waiting to the pharaoh's wife. "Bring me my perfume, Myrnanen." "Yes, mistress." Myrnanen was very beautiful and soon caught the pharaoh's fancy. But loyal Myrna, faithful to her mistress, repelled the pharaoh's advances. "Do not struggle, my pet. I am your king. You must do as I wish." No, I will never, never." The pharaoh, in anger, ordered that she be buried alive as punishment. Myrna was forcefully wrapped in ceremonial burial windings. "She fights like a cat, sire. She will fight no more. Hurry." And so, for 4,000 years, this poor girl lay in her tomb until I uncovered her. And now I give you Myrna. The mummified body of the unfortunate servant girl stood in its sarcophagus, its arms folded across its chest. The carnival customers never failed to gasp and scream whenever Dr. Kling would uncover it. And now I will remove some of the wrappings.
Ah!
If the sight of the mummy was revolting, her unwrapped face was even more so. The wrinkled, dried flesh clung to her skull like wet tissue paper. Her eyes had receded deep into their sockets. Lips were drawn tightly back in a leering grin. Some cried out, some turned away. Good Lord!
Ah!
But there was always more next night. More of the curious. Word traveled fast in small towns. They flocked to see Myrna. She very well earned her keep. Ernest Feely paid Zachary Kling his salary happily. Then, when the carnival hit that small Ozark town, "You, Mr. Feely, my name's Jeb Sickles. I understand you own this here sideshow, Mr. Feely. I think we might be interested in what I got." "What's that, Mr. Sickles?" "Well, I'm the doc around these parts, Mr. Feely. I ain't got no license or nothing, but folks like what I do for 'em, so they come to me. About 2 years ago, this here crone come down from the mountains. Never laid eyes on her before. She begged me to come back with her. Look, Mr. Sickles, I'm a busy man. Get to the point. What is it you got that I'd be interested in? I'll get to it, Mr. Feely. Take it easy. Anyway, this old crone begged me so bad I went. She told me her son was sick. Terrible sick. She said he was a-dying. She took me up into the mountains to this here cave. I nearly throwed up what I saw. What was it, Mr. Sickles? It was her son, Mr. Feely. Her son had 2 heads. It was horrible. Can you do anything for Enoch? He was too far gone for me to save. He died about an hour after we got to the cave. I'm sorry, ma'am. I done all I could. Enoch is dead. Take him away. Take him out of my sight. He must have been 22, Mr. Feely. I took his body back down the mountain and put it in moonshine still. I didn't want nobody to see it. And you still have it? The 2-headed boy? It's been in the still for 2 years, Mr. Feely. Moonshine seems to have preserved it. Take me to it, quickly! Mr. Feely and the quack doctor pushed their way through the crowd, ogling at Myrna, the mummy. Outside the carnival grounds, a horse and wagon waited. They drove to a hidden still. There she is, Mr. Feely. Come on! Then the light from the lantern cast an orange glow into the huge wooden still vat. Below the surface of the moonshine, the pulpy white faces of the 2-headed corpse stared up at Ernest Feely. That's him!
Ah!
Ernest turned to Jeb Sickles, his eyes wide, his face flushed. How would you like to join my show, Jeb? Do what old Doc Klings does. Exhibit this here Enoch. Tell how you got him. I'll pay you a good salary. Join up with you fellers then? Well, I don't know. I guess I'd like that. So Jeb Sickles took his 2-headed preserved body out of the still and joined Ernest Feely's sideshow. Enoch was placed in a specially made glass tank filled with formaldehyde and put on exhibit. Now, folks, I give you Dr. Justin Sickles and Enoch. Folks, I discovered Enoch in the cave of Old Mountain Crone back in the Ozarks. He died in my arms. When Jeb drew back the curtain revealing the pasty-skinned, bloated 2-headed corpse of Enoch, the sideshow customers would cringe and shudder in revulsion. And now I give you Enoch, the 2-headed man.
Ah!
It didn't take long for Ernest Feely to realize that the thing in the huge glass tank was a really valuable exhibit and deserved star billing like Myrna. That's right, Jeb. I'm moving you up to star attraction. You'll share it with Doc Kling here. Thanks, Mr. Feely. So Enoch was placed opposite Myrna, and 5 times a day, Jeb Sickles and Zach Kling exhibited their oddities to the curious who paid them quarters to see them. Myrna, Enoch. 5 times a day, Myrna's rotted brown wrappings were removed from her mummified face. And 5 times a day, the curtain hiding Enoch's tank was withdrawn, revealing the twisting, turning, preserved corpse.
Ah!
And 5 times a day, as the crowd ogled and gasped, a pasty-skinned, 2-headed Enoch, floating in his formaldehyde world, stared with glazed eyes at the putrid, mummified, unwrapped face of Myrna the mummy. The carnival moved on from town to town. Crowds flocked to see Enoch and Myrna. Jealousy between Zach and Kling and Jeb Sickles flamed. What do you mean you're cutting my salary? If it wasn't for Myrna, Enoch pulls him in too, Zach. I've been underpaying Jeb. He and you get the same from now on. I'm lowering your pay and raising his. The bloated body with the staring pairs of eyes swayed in the formaldehyde. Dried remains in the rotted wrappings stood silently. 5 times a day they gazed upon each other. Enoch, Myrna. The Ernest Feely, always the businessman, announced, I'm moving you and Myrna out from Kling. We need a draw for the admissions. Jeb and Enoch are the stars now. And so when the rotted wrappings were removed from Myrna's sunken, mummified eyes, she looked out across the crowd and saw nothing. I gave you Myrna. And when the curtain was pulled back and covering Enoch's tank, he looked out across the crowd and saw nothing. I give you Enoch. Thus, in the blackened night, when the carnival folk lay asleep, a dried and bony hand moved, slowly, hesitantly, pulling away its rotted brown wrappings, while a bloated, pale hand slid upward and over the tank rim, pulling its chalky, pulpy body after it. The morning heard the sideshow tent echo with angry voices. "He stole Enoch! He stole Myrna!" "Calm down, you two," Ernest quieted the raging oddity owners. "Use your heads, you fools. If both are missing, neither of you could have done it." Old Doc Kling knelt to the tan bark and picked up a musty-smelling fragment. A piece of Myrna's wrappings. Drops of formaldehyde. They go that way. The three men followed the fragments of mummy wrappings and the droplets of formaldehyde out of the sideshow tent and into the morning sunlight. The trail was clear, very clear. "Leads to that house. Look at the sign. Justice of the... Good Lord!" The Justice of the Peace was very friendly. He told the sideshow men all he knew. "Couple came last night. Yep, wanted to get married. I did it. I performed the ceremony. Wasn't there anything strange about them?" "Shucks, all I can say is they must have been drinking. Smelled mighty bad, like as if they had been. But $5 is $5. Didn't see nothing. Can't see. I'm blind, you know." "Blind? Good Lord." "Careful now, don't peek. Here comes the finish. Brace yourselves. First, let me say it, Mr. Feely, Jeb, and Zach lost Myrna and Enoch's trail after they left JP. Just couldn't find them. In fact, it wasn't until a year later when the carnival returned to the very Ozark town where Enoch had first joined the sideshow that Mr. Feely heard about the strange doings up in the mountains. Someone said that they'd seen them, but I don't believe them. Whoever heard of a living mummy and a two-headed corpse? Where? Did they see him?" "Up in the old crone's cave. She's dead now, but the folks around here are mighty superstitious. If you ask me, they seeing things. Now, Jeb, take me there. He knows where it is." They went. Jeb and Zach, who'd stayed on with the carnival as handymen, and Mr. Feely. They went up the mountain to the old crone's cave. "Look! Good Lord! It's them!" And the three carnival men dragged their long-lost oddities back down the mountain. "Myrna! My Myrna! Enoch, my boy!" At last, after over a year, the three men were out of earshot when the wail drifted out from deep in the bowels of the crone's cave. They never saw the infant thing crawl out into the sunlight, its eyes streaming with tears, crying for its parents. Yep, that's it, kiddies. That's my story. Yep, Enoch of the Double Domes was my old man, and Myrna the Mummy was my old lady. You might say the mummy was my mommy. By the way, I understand that there's a carnival today, 80 years later, that still exhibits a mummy and a two-headed preserved corpse. If any of you see them, write me. I want to send a card. It's their anniversary next month. Now it's time for a jaunt into the vault of horror, creeps. This is your vault keeper, ready to relate the blood-curdling tale from my collection. So come in, sit down on that blood-stained hotel room rug, and I'll tell you how it got that way. I call this sickening sojourn into the screaming semi-darkness of sordidness. This trick will kill ya. Herbert Martini moved through the milling Calcutta crowds, mopping up his perspiration-bathed face. The blazing Indian sun was directly overhead. The heat was unbearable. Herbert cursed. Why I ever came to this disease-infested hellhole, I'll never know. I haven't found one new illusion since I've been here. Indian fakirs, bah! Lucky thing I left Inez at the hotel. She'd pass out in this heat. The great Martini, famous in the United States for his astounding feats of magic, pushed his way through the dark-skinned throng, stopping for a few minutes to watch as each squatted Indian fakir would perform his tricks and illusions. The old cabbage in the ground illusion, old as the hills. Satisfied that there was nothing new to see, nothing he could add to his fabulous magic act, Herbert would move on from one fakir to the next. Then, in a dark alley off the teeming marketplace, he saw her. The dark-haired, flashing-eyed Indian girl. Hello, what's that? She wears a fakir shawl. I wonder what she has in the basket. Herbert moved down the litter-filled alley to where the Indian girl squatted before her oddly shaped basket. The crowd behind, out in the marketplace, seemed to fade from earshot. The girl looked up at Martini and smiled. You want trick? I do for rupee. The coin tinkled to the cobblestones at the girl's bare feet. She picked it up, examined it, and lifted the lid off the basket. Tossed the coin in. Herbert peered down. Inside the basket lay a coil of heavy rope, old and frayed. You hear tell of Indian rope trick? Sure, I heard tell of it, but that's all. Just talk. I don't believe that there is such a thing. The girl pulled a small reed instrument from the folds in her gown and put it into her lips. She took a deep breath and began to blow softly. The weird note trembled. The coil of rope in the basket stirred. The single note continued. One end of the coil rope stood up, swaying like an entranced cobra. Good Lord! And as the girl's breath ran out and the note began to fade, the end of the rope began to rise higher and higher into the air. I don't believe it. When the last vibration ended, the rope stood upright as its full uncoiled length, 15, maybe 20 feet in the air. Astounding! The girl got to her feet and moved to the rope. As Herbert watched, horrified, she began to climb it. Good Lord! She pulled herself easily, hand over hand, until she reached the top. I'll buy it. I'll pay you anything. The dark-haired, flashing-eyed native girl slid to the ground once again, and the rope collapsed into the basket. How much do you want for the trick? Name your price, girl. I cannot sell the rope. It was my mother's and her mother's, and... keep your rope. Tell me how it's done. Tell me the secret. I'll make my own. There is no secret, Sahib. It is the rope. You cannot make one. It is impossible. The rope? What kind of nonsense is that? It's an ordinary rope. What's inside? A wire? What's under the basket? A trap door? Come on, I'll pay you 500 rupees. It is the rope itself, Sahib. See? The girl lifted the basket. There was no trap door below, no hole out of which the pole could be extended, nothing. You see, Sahib, it is the rope, and the rope is not for sale. Impossible. There must be a trick to it. There must. That night, the great Martini paced his hotel room nervously. Finally, the door opened and a girl entered. Inez, it's about time. Did you see her? Did you see the trick? I saw her, and I saw the trick. We'd knock him dead in the States with that one. Could you buy the secret from her, Inez? Did she tell you and how she does it? I couldn't make any headway either. She gave me the same line she gave you. She said it was a rope and no gimmicks, and she wouldn't sell the rope. Inez, I want that trick. I got to know how she does it. Take it easy, Herb. She'll be here any minute. Be here? She's coming here? Yes, I accused her of props. I dared her to show us the same thing here. She fell for it. Fell for it? What do you have in mind, Inez? Don't be naive, Herb. That trick is worth a fortune. We've got to have it, at all costs, even murder. Inez? Murder? Think of it, Herb. You, in the center of the stage, blowing that weird little pipe, and me, in a skink costume, climbing the rope, the trick that everyone said couldn't be done. You're right, Inez. If she won't tell us, we'll kill her for the secret. If she does it here, the gimmick is inside the rope or in the basket. After we knock her off, we'll find out what it is. Shh, she's coming. There was a timid knock on the hotel room door. Herbert swung it open. Come in, come in. Ah, I see you have the basket. You are the man I performed for this afternoon. Yes, my name is Martini. I am in the United States. I'm a famous magician. This is my wife Inez. Ah, the lady that invited me here. She said I would not be able to make the rope rise high here. That's right, honey. I think you've got some wire arrangement in that alley back there. I told you both. It is the rope, nothing more. Watch. The girl placed the basket on the floor of the room. Then she took out the curious reed instrument and began to blow. The weird noise filled the room. The rope began to rise. It's in the basket, Herb. The gimmick must be in there, or in the rope. I'll get her. Suddenly, the weird-sounding, trembling note was cut short. The rope collapsed. Herbert's powerful fingers held the Indian girl's neck in a vice-like grip. Don't let her scream, Herb. I won't. Soon, the throttled native girl's body went limp, and she slid to the floor. She's dead. Come on, let's look at that rope. Murderers rushed to the collapsed rope lying on the hotel room rug. Here, Herb searched the and examined it closely. Inez picked up the basket. The rope, it's not hollow. There's no wire. There's nothing in the basket. Nothing. Inez and Herbert stared at each other. No gimmick, no prop, but we saw it start rising. It was working. Suddenly, Inez's glance fell. The strange-looking reed instrument was still clutched in the dead native girl's hand. The pipe, Herb. Try the pipe. But what good will that do? Herb wrenched the flute-like instrument from the corpse and put it to his lips. Weird note echoed through the room. Look, Herb, look! The frayed end of the rope began to rise. Keep blowing, Herb, keep blowing. Higher and higher the rope rose until it touched the ceiling of the room. Herb's breath ran out and the note faded. The rope stood stiffly. She wasn't lying. It is the rope. There's something about it. We got a gold mine, Herb. A gold mine. Inez moved to the rope. She closed her hands around it and began to pull herself up. It holds me, Herb. I can climb it. We'll knock 'em dead, Inez. Just wait until we get back to the States. Inez had reached the top of the rope. Suddenly her face was contorted in pain. Her eyes bulged in horror. Herb! Hi! Eee! Herb Martini stared at the spot near the ceiling where Inez had been. She simply vanished. Her hysterical shriek came from very, very far away. Inez! Inez, where are you? Suddenly, a wave of nausea swept over the great Martini. Objects rained down from nowhere about him, falling to the Calcutta hotel room floor. Horrible objects. Quivering pieces of Inez's body. Inez! Ah! The root curled upward, the frayed end still in the basket, whipping outward, wrapping around Herb's neck. And slowly, steadily, the rope continued to rise until the complaints of neighbors brought the manager of the Calcutta Hotel to Herbert and Inez Martini's room. He found the master magician hanging from a rope, swaying crazily. The rope ended at the ceiling, apparently unattached. Good Lord! That about wraps it up, kiddies. Neatly knotted. When they tried to cut poor Herbie down, the rope just collapsed and he fell to the floor amid Inez's dismembered remains. As for the Indian girl, they found no trace of her. What happened to her body? Next time you're in Calcutta, look for her in that alleyway. She'll be there with her rope. Just be careful. Don't let her string you along. And now, I'll turn you back to the Crypt-Keeper. He's waiting with... What? A fairy tale? Oh no. Why not tell a grim fairy tale? I'm pretty grim. So here goes with the jarring juvenile jabberwocky I call the funeral. Once upon a time, long, long ago, in a kingdom far, far away, there was a castle. And in this castle dwelt a king, a queen, and a young dashing prince. Prince Junior, how many times have I told you not to dash through the halls like that? I fell on my royal... And now the king and queen of this far, far away kingdom were very busy, kinging and queenging. They had no time to take care of young Prince Junior, so they hired a nurse when Junior was just a babe. How's Prince Junior today, nurse? May we see him? Shh. He's sleeping. You can just have a peek, that's all. Naturally, as Prince Junior grew, he became more and more attached to his old nurse. Prince Junior, what have you done? Oh dear. I told you, strings in my belt. He's attached. Every day, Nurse Fanny, for that was her name, would dress Prince Junior. There, you look very nice. Now don't get dirty. Your mother and father are coming to see you soon. Yes, Nurse Fanny. Would scold him when he was naughty. I told you not to get dirty, you bad, bad boy. Though how do I know they'd pull up the drawbridge? Would read to him when he was good. Read to me about the wicked witch that cooked your bad little peasant children in her oven, Nurse Fanny. Alright, Prince Junior, let's see. Here, once upon a time, would tuck him in at night. Good night, Prince Junior. Just one more story, Nurse Fanny. The one about the wicked witch that cooked the bad little peasant children. Nurse Fanny was more of a mother to Prince Junior than the Queen. I love you, Nurse Fanny. And I love you, little prince. And so, when Prince Junior woke up one morning and found Nurse Fanny lying very still, Nurse Fanny, speak to me. But Nurse Fanny did not speak. Nurse Fanny was very cold and very white. She is dead, my son. Nurse Fanny. Do not cry, my child. But the Queen's pleading could not make her little boy stop crying. I want Nurse Fanny. I want my nurse. Do something, Heinrich. His little heart is breaking. So what can I do? Make something up. Promise him something. Anything. Prince Junior, you shouldn't cry. Think of all the candy. I want candy? What candy? At the funeral. Funeral? What is that? When someone dies, my son, they make a funeral. We'll have a funeral for Fanny. We'll invite all your cousins. What about the candy? And we'll serve candy and cake. With whipped cream? With whipped cream. And we'll play games and give prizes. And I'll win a pony. Well, I don't know. Alright, you'll win a pony. Goody goody, a pony. We're gonna have a funeral. We're gonna have a funeral. Come, my dear, he's alright now. You're so clever, Heinrich. And so Prince Junior skipped happily through the castle. We're gonna have a funeral, and I'm gonna win a pony. Until he came to a door with a big black bow and ribbon hanging from it. And I'm gonna win. There must be something where Nurse Fanny's lying in state. I'll just open the door and take a peek, just to make sure. Nurse Fanny was stretched out on a velvet draped bier. At her head, 2 candles burned. The room was dark, save for the glow from the 2 flickering flames, but there was enough light for Prince Junior to see. She moved. Suddenly the room was filled with an eerie moan. Ooh, she's alive. Nurse Fanny sat up, shaking her head. Oh dear, I must have had an attack. I haven't had one of those in years. Fanny, you see, suffered occasional cataleptic fits, which made her appear dead, and after all, how good were doctors in those days anyhow? Nurse Fanny, you're not dead. Prince Junior ran into Nurse Fanny's outstretched arms, and she hugged him tenderly. No, my dear, I'm not dead. You know I wouldn't leave you. Oh, Nurse Fanny, Suddenly Prince Charming thought of all his cousins. Not in a million years. 'Cause you're my baby. Pop. And then he thought about all the candy. And I'd never leave my baby. Pop. Not in a million years. Then he thought about the candy with whipped cream. Because I love my baby. When you love someone. Pop. And then Prince Junior thought about his prize, the pony. You never go away. Because love. Pop. And so Prince Junior picked up one of the heavy candlesticks. This is what makes the world. And brought it down with all his might. Go around.
Ah!
We're gonna have funeral. We're gonna have funeral. And after that, Happy Prince Junior did have his funeral with the cousins, candy and cake. And he did get his pony, and he lived happily ever after. Poor Nurse Fanny was buried as per schedule, and nobody ever knew that the old gal had died of a splintered skull. After all, as I said before, how good were doctors in those days? Anyhow, the old witch awaits you, so hold your nose and shift your bleary eyes right. It's me, your hostess in the haunt of fear, the old witch, ready to rustle up another revolting recipe in my cruddy cauldron. So crawl in, peeps, knot your dribbling napkins around your scrawny necks, fasten your jewel cups, and I'll dish out the tale of terror I call none but the lonely heart. It had always been a simple matter for Howard. After all, he was rather good-looking in a mature sort of way. Old maids and widows were attracted to him. Besides, the photograph he'd send them was a particularly good one. Listen to this, King. Dear Howard, I received your picture along with your delightfully written letter today. You look very nice. Enclosed is my photo. I'm sorry, it isn't a recent snap. It was taken 2 years ago. Howard patted his dog's head and smiled. Well, she sent us her picture, boy. Shall we brace ourselves and take a look? He lifted the picture from the envelope and gasped. Why, she's beautiful, King. Indeed, Howard's latest proposed victim was beautiful. Howard studied her for a moment thoughtfully. You know, King, with a woman like this, I might decide to wind up this racket and settle down for good. Howard sat back, the picture of his lap, and lit his pipe. The smoke curled up lazily, thinly, as it drifted towards the ceiling. Remember the first picture we ever got, King? Let's see, almost 7 years ago it was. What was her name? Oh yes, Matilda Philby. I got her name from a Lonely Hearts Club list. Remember? That was back when I first decided to start this little love for money game. After a couple warm letters crossed, it came. Oof, what a face. Look at this, King. How could I ever love an ugly wench like this? But she had money, didn't she, King? Remember, she wrote describing her house, the furnishings. She's rich, though, King. She got loot, and she lives alone. Maybe looks aren't everything. So we took the plunge, eh, boy? We wrote passionate tones of love and finally proposed, and she accepted. So we pawned my watch, bought a new suit of clothes and ticket, and went. Howard, dear one. Matilda, my pet. Dear God. Side note here, the woman in this image looked like Bob Hope in drag is probably the best way I can describe it. Bear in mind this was the 1960s, so it very could well be Bob Hope in drag. Anyway. How long was it after our wedding, King? 6 months? Not much more? Poor Matilda, she never even knew we'd loosened the top cellar stair. Ah! Matilda, what is it? The fall didn't kill her, did it? We had to go down and finish the job. Messy business. Howard, gasp, I'm hurt. Howard!
Ah!
How much did we make on that deal, King? Let's see, we sold the house for $10,000 and oh yes, all told about 60 grand. You're leaving us, Mr. Crown? Why, yes, Mrs. Centine. I cannot just stay here with all these memories. So we moved on, King, and about 3 months later we contacted our second victim. She advertised in a personal column, hadn't she? It began again. Well, at least she'd been better than the last one, King Lord? Aren't there any pretty rich widows? Took us 6 months of ardent lovemaking via the U.S. mail to convince that one, huh, King? What was her name? Oh, yes. Howard, sweet. Effie, my dear. Looks like the mask from that movie, The Mask, with Cher. We didn't waste much time with her, King. She wasn't as wealthy as we thought. Sometimes it's hard to tell, isn't it? And you can't very well ask. How long did Effie last before she fell from her apartment window? Ah! The fresh air fiend, eh? It was so easy to push her. She had jewelry, though. How much did we get? 5 grand or so, wasn't it? Wait, see you go, Mr. Prince. The apartment, well, it's so big and empty now. Number 3 answered our ad, King. She was the worst of the lot, 200 pounds at least, but she had a real estate out in Oklahoma, so... Howard, dearest. Luella, my love. That job was the cleverest, though, I must admit. Remember, I made sure to leave you home that day we went driving. Be careful, Howard. There's a sharp drop on this turn. You, Howard, where are you going? Goodbye, Luella. I leaped from the car just as it went over the cliff. Oh, you should have been there, King. You would have been proud of me. And what a sight. The car going over and over, down and down. Real estate brought us 70 grand, huh, King? Yes, but that was a mistake, selling it. Later they found oil there, of all the luck. Oh, well, we made up for it on number 4. Remember her? Howard, my dream. Veronica, you look even lovelier than your picture. Ugh. The factory that Veronica's first husband had left her was worth a small fortune. Chemicals. It spelled her own undoing. King? Remember how I learned about that non-traceable poison? Howard, that coffee. Yes, Veronica? What about it? Poor Veronica. Poison made her go into such painful convulsions before she died. But $100,000 wasn't hay, was it, King? You sure want to sell, Mr. Royal? After all, yes, Mr. Bibbs, I'd rather. I couldn't go on without her. Heh, how many were there altogether, King? 7? Yes, 7. Why, we could have retired easily with the fortune we'd made from them. But then we'd read this one's Janet's ad. Listen to this, King. Lonely woman desires correspondence with refined gentleman. We couldn't resist, could we, King? We had to write, and then her answer came. Dear Mr. Thorne, your letter arrived today, and I read it with much interest. You sound very cultured and well traveled. I would enjoy corresponding with you. Janet Lane. Howard put his pipe down and smiled. He shuffled through a sheaf of papers. So we started writing, King? Let's see. Here's her second letter. Dear Howard, if I may be so bold, I reside in a sturdily built stone house. The property is very large, almost 12 acres, and very well kept. But for a woman such as myself, being alone as I am, without anyone living for miles around, life can be very hard. Your letters are a great comfort. Can't you see her, King? This ravishing woman living alone on this palatial estate in a huge fieldstone house. Why, it sounds almost too good to be true. Listen to this letter. Marble floors, say, furnished in exquisite taste, hardwoods, bronze trims, satin draperies, stained glass windows. King, my boy, I think it's time that you and I were settling down. We're not getting any younger, you know. And if Janet... Howard picked up the photograph of the lovely woman. If Janet looks like this, I think we've found the right one this time. Why, he'll have that big estate to romp around in with the hand-wrought iron gates, and the gardeners, and tree flowers, and big stone house. Howard picked up a pen. I'm going to propose to her, King. She speaks how lonely she is, and she has my picture. Maybe she'll say yes. 3 days later, Janet's answer came. She accepted, King. She'll marry me. Oh, I wouldn't let her myself hope, but now I'm so happy. Howard packed his bags. No more wandering around for us, boy. No more aliases. No more false lovemaking. We're settling down for good. Howard sent a telegram on ahead announcing his expected arrival date, and he and King set out by car for Janet's home. Only 50 more miles, boy. We'll be there before midnight. Howard checked Janet's address with a policeman in town. Bayberry Road? Why, it's straight on south about 2 miles. You can't miss it. What number was that? That's all right, officer. I'll find it. Thanks. Bayberry Road was a long, narrow, tree-lined lane off the main highway. There were few houses along it. Finally, there's the wrought iron gate, King. We're here. As Howard's car swung in at the gate, his headlights fell across. What the... The letters were rusted and old, but very clear. A cemetery! King began to whine softly. Steady, boy, steady. We must have made a mistake. Suddenly, the car door swung open. King yelled, Good Lord! The rotted, decayed thing grinned, reaching outward. Its flesh crawled with the slime of death. Its voice rasped like a worn-out gramophone cylinder. Darling. Janet! No! No! King leaped from the car, howling. The thing closed its flesh-tattered, bony fingers around Howard's wrist in a vice-like grip and dragged him from the car toward the open mausoleum. I'm sorry I didn't have more recent snapshot, my dear. Aren't the grounds just as I described them? The female thing dragged the screaming man into the satin-draped mausoleum with the stained glass window, across the marble floor and into the hardwood bronze-trimmed coffin. And all the while, as it closed the lid down, it kept murmuring, spewing its foul-smelling breath upon its terror-stricken face. It's been so lonely here, my dear, but now that's all over. Hee hee, what a love affair, eh, kiddies? All over now is right. For Howie, that is. Oh, by the way, in case you're wondering what happened to King, rest your fiendish minds. Janet had a dog named Queenie, and now it's time to close that putrid Crypt-Keeper's Mag. Well, I'll see you next in the Vault Keeper's mess, the Vault of Horror. Bye now, and if you get any love letters signed Janet or Howie, well, the end. And with that, Tales from the Crypt number 33 seals shut. Okay, let's scoop that up.